In tonight's edition of Lame Duck Watch, President Bush is hoping no one will notice that he's trying to quietly start up drilling near the national parks in the West. Here to make some noise about it is a trustee of the Natural Resources Defense Council, a man named Robert Redford. Yes, that Robert Redford. Trustee, actor, director, Academy Award winner, and I guess lame duck watcher. First, though, it's time for a few underreported holy mackerel stories in the news today. Someday, the 2008 election will end, and that will be a sad, sad, empty day for news geeks like me everywhere. But until then, woohoo! There's still plenty to be decided, including the Georgia Senate runoff election a week from tomorrow between Republican incumbent Saxby Chambliss and Democratic challenger Jim Martin. In that race today, we can report some Republican self-inflicted voter suppression. Thousands of Republican Party-supplied absentee ballot request postcards were returned without signatures, which makes the requests invalid. Why didn't they have signatures? Well, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution says the signature line on the RNC cards was easy to miss because it showed up down at the bottom of the card in an unobtrusive spot. County election officials are contacting affected voters by mail, asking them to print and return new applications from county or state election websites. The good news, DeKalb County election officials are accepting applications that are unsigned on the signature line if the voter wrote their name at the top of the ballot in cursive. Votes count twice if you dot your I with a circle or a little tulip or something. I made that part up. In the Minnesota Senate race over the weekend, 538.com's Nate Silver, America's most widely loved electoral projector, analyzed precinct-by-precinct returns and predicted that Al Franken will win the recount by a grand total of 27 votes. If Nate Silver turns out to be exactly right in this race, like he was in the presidential race, with this 27-vote margin prediction, if he's right again, the whole country has to buy him a beer. 300 million beers for Nate Silver. One farming family in Colorado is taking the free beers for Nate Silver idea and broadening it out a bit. Tough economic times mean that food pantries and charities that help supplement stretched grocery budgets are really being pushed to the limit. In one neighborhood in Denver this weekend, the Denver Post reports that people lined up in the dark at 6 a.m. and stood for hours to collect donated Thanksgiving food boxes. The demand was the highest seen in 40 years. Well, Joe and Chris Miller, who live about 45 minutes north of Denver at a town called Platteville, they farm about 600 acres there. Hearing reports of people stealing food from churches in their area, the Millers decided to invite anyone interested to come harvest vegetables on their farm that had been left over after the harvest. They expected people to come by over a few days' time and pick over what was left in the field. What they got were 40,000 people in cars backed up for more than 2 miles. Those 40,000 people, perhaps unsurprisingly, picked the 600-acre farm so clean of its potatoes, carrots, and leeks that a second day of harvesting was canceled. Asked for her reaction, Chris Miller told the Denver Post, quote, "Overwhelmed is putting it mildly. For my own emotional health, I'm going to choose to see this story as a harbinger not of economic doom, but as a good deed done right story about the Millers and their leftover veggies." Wow. Now, finally, to our holy mackerel, vaguely sports-related story of the day. Florida State football team has a defensive back named Myron Rolle. He was the top college football recruit in the country. He started as a freshman, and his season this year has been of all-American caliber. In his spare time, he has finished his bachelor's degree in 2.5 years with a 3.75 GPA in pre-med, and he's done independent cancer research, and he's set up a health and fitness program for Native American kids. The only wrinkle, the only hitch in Mr. Rolle's charmed life? His Rhodes Scholarship final interview on Saturday in Birmingham, Alabama, was scheduled for the same time as the big Florida State-Maryland game in Maryland. Mr. Rolle and his coaches agreed that the scholarship opportunity was too good to pass up, even if the ACC Atlantic Division title was potentially on the line. And he went to Birmingham for that interview instead of going to the game. But wait, nothing is too complicated or difficult or coincidental in timing for this man. After acing the interview and winning the Rhodes Scholarship in Birmingham, Mr. Rolle hopped on a plane, flew to Maryland, changed into his magical superhero football player outfit, and was on the field and in the game before the end of the second quarter. And of course, I don't even have to tell you, his team won. I wonder if maybe we could have Obama roll him out as an economic advisor or something one day this week. They got a stock market reaction.